Welcome back to a new channel and of course a new video. Now we'll talk about this new channel in a bit, but first let's talk about what I'm going to do today, and that is what I was planning on doing is to install some sort of non-conventional or not that famous operating system on the Jaguar board. So this is an Intel Z3537 Intel Atom CPU and 1 gig of RAM. So I just wanted to experiment with something else other than Linux and or more more conventional form of Linux like Debian or Fedora or Red Hat and stuff like that. So what I initially planned was to install something not Linux initially. So I tried Minix again. The main issue with Minix is it doesn't support USB at all. So that meant I had no option to boot of the Jaguar board in any way. So that went down the drain. My next option was something like FreeBSD or any BSD based stuff. So FreeBSD, I tried Ghost BSD, and that has the issue of ACPI stuff related issue, and ACPI is not very well implemented on this board. So I went on to FreeBSD. The FreeBSD OS doesn't support eMMC, and that's what's the main installation media is on this board. And then I tried OpenBSD, which installed on the eMMC, everything is fine, and then again on reboot there is the ACPI stuff. NetBSD, a few other things with EFI booting and stuff like that didn't work. Again, one of the flaws of this board is it won't boot anything else than EFI, and also it won't boot anything else than 64-bit EFI. So even 32-bit EFI, you are out of luck. It boots only 64-bit EFI, and that is some bias issue. So another thing was then what I had left with something like Arch Linux, more unconventional sort of stuff. Um, so what I ended up doing was going for Manjaro, because again I really needed some sort of support, and then it had to be something that is maintained. So my idea of having something unconventional pretty much went down the drain immediately, and now my final hope is to somehow get Manjaro installed on this. So I have Manjaro on the bootable drive here, so let's go ahead and power it on, and of course it is connected to the display, and let's go into the BIOS. So it detects the boot drive fine, and let's boot from it. um well, that booted pretty well. Alright, so it looks like we booted up pretty well, and what I really want to see is how is the RAM usage on this thing. Again, this is the X-Face XFCE version, and what I want to go ahead and do is does this have system monitor installed? Okay, so it has HTOP installed, which will work as well. And yeah, it is using more than half, but then again it is a live media, so I'm expecting it to, and I've got only 1 gig of RAM. So maybe we'll do something with ZRAM and stuff like that maybe in the future. I won't be depending upon the swap memory that is created on the eMMC, because I probably won't create it. I already am less short on space. So what I'll do ahead and go and install Manjaro, and really hope that it does sort of detect the eMMC, and just waiting for the installer to load. I think it's a good idea to have HTOP running. Okay, so initially the installer says I don't have enough memory, and I'm not plugged into a power source, so it's not really happy about that. um, there's no way to force the installation. I don't know. Alright, so we are back now because I didn't have enough usable RAM, although I did have 1 gigabyte. I had to modify these couple of files which are related to the installer, and what basically is that I just changed the required RAM to 0.7, and of course that is pretty much self-explanatory, and that should actually give us the ability to install Manjaro on this device. Now of course 1 gig of RAM is not that much to us, but I'm still limited, and it is shared by the GPU. So again, technically if a device has 0.8, it should be considered in the um, kind of a gigabyte range, but then again we're not dealing with fuzzy sets here. So 1 gigabyte means 1 gigabyte. And next location is sane. Even this is fine. Partitions, I need to erase entire disk, and uh, what else? Okay, so it seems I will be manually partitioning it. I really don't want to have a swap partition taking up space, so I'll manually partition it, and that means that this partition goes, this goes. I add a new partition table for GPT, then add a new partition for EFI. Do we have EFI separately or just FAT32? I think should be good enough with FAT32. Mounted as boot EFI. Flags should be boot ESP. I don't know, just a couple of more flags. And size, I take it as 512 megabytes. That's more than enough for an EFI partition at this moment, and again we are low on memory, so that's about it. And then a new partition for everything else, and no swap at all. That's it. And again next, so simple enough. My name and my username, and that should be fine. Maybe I'll just fill it up and get back to you once the installation starts. Alright, so it seems we are installing the operating system, and I am really happy that this is happening. I was hoping to use the Jaguar board for something. It's really a very let's just call it special kind of a board. It's not the best in terms of software support. Even being an x86 board, it's kind of asking too much, but from an x86 board you do expect stuff to just run without any issues, something like the upboard has and other x86 devices have. But for some reason it is very choosy in the kind of stuff it actually likes to run. So I'm very happy that this has started to work. I wanted an ARC based system for quite some time. I also tested GNU Herd, but the GNU Herd stuff was, again, GNU Herd is only for 32-bit systems, and as I said, this supports only 64-bit boot, and later on can support 32-bit. It's an x86-64, not a IA64 based CPU, but there's something in the BIOS UEFI BIOS settings that this doesn't really work out that well with 32-bit EFIs. So talking about this channel while it is doing stuff, where should I start? So, as you know, my main channel is Geek Till It Hurts, and I really wanted to start sort of vlogging, but never really got around it to vlog, GTIH style with all the tech stuff. So, what I did was change this channel to my own. So, sort of projects that don't really make, or I don't really have the time to have a proper production on them. Uh, and then put them as a vlog, something like this, on this particular channel. Maybe some not at all tech stuff, which I'm pretty interested in and should be coming up in a few days, whatever I do. And apart from that, basically, yes, this channel is in my name, so that is my actual name, and that's about it. So something new I just wanted to start, something different than GTIH, which is already going on, not as fast as I would like, but it's there and it's working its way. So yeah, again, so I guess let's just take a bit of a break and let this complete, and I'll get back to you. Alright, so it seems that it has installed now. Of course, it's only when we restart will we know if it has. And let's quit this, and let's see if it reboots from the internal eMMC storage. Alright, so actually it did. That's grub. And let's see if the kernel loads properly. And I guess it just did. So yeah, that works. One of the main things I've also tried on this Jaguar board is to use it as a NAS drive. So I have my Raspberry Pi as a NAS drive right now, but I really wanted to use a Jaguar board. It has some extra CPU power so that I can actually run something like Boeing on it, and it's x86, so most of the Boeing projects are supported, and I really wanted to have that. But the issue with the Jaguar board is it doesn't have a very stable network connection, so it can cut out if the traffic is too heavy. So something like if I download if I install something that is on the NAS drive, so if I run the exe directly from the NAS drive on my system, and while the exe is installing, suppose it's like 204 or even 40 gig exe, it will still have issues, and it will the installation will fail in between, which is not an issue with a Raspberry Pi, which is extremely stable in this manner and can have 100% throughput. Even the Jaguar board had 100% throughput, but it's only when you are streaming something that is a continuous file, something like directly using an MP4 file or something like that. It has to be a single continuous file, and that is it. So it says I have a bunch of updates. Now what I want to do is really want to use the command line to update this. I want to see if that works well, and let's just see options. Okay, so sudo and p pacman s u, and this should probably start the installation. And yep, there are just a single file, so I'm okay, so it probably updated the updater itself, added a bunch of stuff. And yes, there are many around 93 packages that needs to be updated. Let's see if we can find there's WLAN stuff. So I think this is running on WLAN. I really wanted to, because that would be cool. Let's see if we can find kernel stuff. Not really seeing a kernel update. Should be somewhere there. Yep, there it is. Linux 4.9.1, 4.9.16. So that makes it fairly near what I have on my Fedora laptop. So again, Fedora is also sort of rolling. I mean, it does run on latest stuff in everything. So that's great, and I think I should start updating. I just wanted to check really quick if it actually is running uh, Wayland, and if that is the thing, we should have Wayland somewhere here. Just a second. Alright, so Wayland is running, as you can see. PSOX grep Wayland shows us that. So yay. And again, back to updating the operating system. And then again, yes, so it is again downloading stuff. So well, that's about it for this video, and thanks for watching, I guess.